Howdy, folks. I'm Prone Protea, proudly promoting petty pigeons.
I'm Amber.
And here are more petty pigeons for us to promote. We do it because we're bad managers. If they're petty, then they get the job done better because they harass the other pigeons that aren't quite so petty. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Putting the Baby in the Basement? About a year ago, my 16-year-old son came home, visibly stressed. We asked him what was wrong, and he started crying, saying that he got his girlfriend, who is also 16, pregnant, and they don't know what to do. Well, we went to the parents of the girl, who had no idea about it. All of us discussed it together. The girl was terrified and didn't want an abortion, but didn't want a baby too. We offered that she can give birth, and we will raise the baby for her. We want the baby, and we don't want to ruin their lives. They can choose whether they want to stay in the baby's life or not, and we will not ask for child support. They agreed. The baby was born about 4 months ago, and she is just the most wonderful and beautiful baby girl. The girl chose not to stay in her life. My son wants to be in her life, but doesn't want to be responsible for her quite yet, which is fine. But we finished the basement for him because we wanted him to be able to study without having the baby's crying distract him. Things have been going very well. We adore the baby, and my son does too. Now my older kids, 18 and 20, have been complaining that it's not fair that they have to deal with a crying baby, while her own dad gets to hide in a quiet basement and not deal with her. They think that we should put the baby in the basement with her dad. I told them that I have a responsibility towards the baby and my minor son, so I'll make sure both of them get a good and happy childhood. The rest of them can move out if they have a problem with this. They think that I'm a jerk and favoring my youngest. Edit, I have made my final decision and will not change my mind, so you can stop commenting. If they think that they are old enough to decide what should happen in my house, then I will treat them like the adults that they are. This means no freeloading. Anyone over the age of 18 who wants to have a say in what happens in my house must pay $1,000 each month for rent, which is a fair price for rent where we live. Plus, they will be responsible for their own expenses from now on. I will not be paying for their groceries or their bills or their gas or anything like that. It's time to man up. Whichever of them can do this is welcome to live in the basement instead of my youngest. Needless to say, none of them has a job, so I already know what is going to be their answer. As for my youngest, I will support him however I can while he's a minor. As soon as he turns 18, he has to follow the same rules. However, I will provide everything for my granddaughter until he gets a full-time job because her happiness is what matters the most here. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Opie's being a major jerk here. It seems like the only one she's concerned about is her granddaughter, and a little bit the youngest, but, he gave her her new favorite child, so he gets a special pass, special treatment.
So, as for OP, I think that OP is really saying at the end there, they're like, if they want to make decisions in how the household is run, then they're going to have to pay rent, which, I don't think is necessarily an unfair take for a lot of things in general, right? Like, they are saying that they will, they're not charging them rent right now. They're not charging them $1,000 a month. The only way that they'll get charged $1,000 a month is if they want to move in the basement. With that said, it also feels like the youngest is not having to deal with any of the repercussions at all of the poor decisions that they made, right?
Well, that's it exactly. Like, 18 is not some magical age where, poof, you're an adult now. I'm sure the 18-year-old and 20-year-old probably are going to school or, doing other things that require them to get a good night's sleep as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason why the 16-year-old's education should be prioritized here when he's the one who created the child.
Yeah. Well, all of their educations are important, mm-hmm. right? And I think that maybe it's a difficult situation because someone's going to get punished, right? And I don't think like having to listen to a baby cry is punishment, right? But it's something that can impact people's quality of life for sure. And I think that this is one of the situations where somebody's going to end up kind of with the short end of the stick, right? Whether it's the son, whether it's the two other kids, one of the two other kids, because there's only so much basement that goes around, right? Unless they all want a room downstairs with the brother,
or they could just
right?
put the baby in the basement with the 16-year-old. Or OP could move into the basement with the baby. Any number of options that don't require the two oldest to have to listen to a crying baby all night.
Yeah, and the thing is that a baby only cries for maybe like the first half a year to a year, right? So it's not like this is going to be something that's will be forever and ever and ever. It's going to be a relatively short period of time. Understandably, it's going to be upsetting during that time, but at least it has a, an end in sight here.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really OP incenses me. I really hate her attitude here. It feels like she's just doubling down because all the comments were almost unanimous, like, you're the
Hmm.
jerk. And she's just doubling down, like, I'm so right. I know everything there is to know. Like, when parents charge their kids rent, it's usually a nominal amount, it's not market rate rent.
Yeah.
She knows they can't pay market rate rent. And she's just willing to be like, she's trying to pull the, well, you're legally an adult, so you need to start acting like it thing, because she doesn't like them complaining when they have every right to be upset.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like they should be able to express their discomfort and say that this situation is upsetting to them. So, I don't think that OP is being very compassionate in some respects here. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Organic Date 1718 says, I was going to say not the jerk until the end, where you are putting more importance on your 16-year-old and told the others to deal with it or move out. Why does your son get rewarded when they have to deal with it? You're the jerk. And OP replies, he's not getting rewarded. He has a part-time job and helps with expenses even though we don't need his money, but he wants to provide for his child. He also helps out whenever he can. As soon as he is done with his homework or school or job, he is ready to look after his child. We don't even have to ask him to do anything, he just does it. A bedroom in my house for my minor child is not a reward. And Poku 115 says, so it makes it okay that everyone else has to suffer for the consequences of someone else's decision. I gave them a roof. Congratulations for giving them a bare minimum. Surely that will stop them from dumping your butt in the elder home like you are dropping their butts off just because they don't want to have to deal with you and your son's bad decisions. And OP replies, since when is giving them a rent-free room as an adult, giving them both cars and paying for everything related, paying for literally all of their expenses, and paying for their college is considered the bare minimum? Entitled teenager, I assume. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Wanting to Split the Winnings with My Sister? Hey everyone, I'm in a bit of a situation and I need some outside perspective. A while back, my sister gave me a certain amount of money to hold on for her. She had a specific reason for saving it, something important for her. She said that she trusted me with this because she didn't want to spend it impulsively and figured that I would keep it safe. Well, one night I was bored and I decided to play some online games. I know I did not have the best idea here, but I ended up using the money that she gave me. Luckily, things went way better than expected, and I actually tripled the amount that she originally gave me. I was pretty happy about it, and thought that she would be too. I want to clarify that I had ways to cover the money if I didn't win. So I wasn't risking her savings without a backup plan. When I told her what happened, she initially was shocked, then asked if I could split the winnings with her. She felt that since it was her money that I used, that she deserved the share of the profit. I get where she was coming from, but I also feel like I took a risk and I could have lost everything. Plus, I could have just returned the original amount and kept the extra for myself. Now things are a bit tense between us. She's saying that it's not fair for me to keep all of the profit when it was her money that made it possible. I see her point, but I also think that I should get something for taking the risk. So am I the jerk for not wanting to split the winnings with her? How should I handle this? I would appreciate your thoughts. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're the jerk. I mean, also, Opie's lying about, I'd like to get something. Splitting the profits means he's getting something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not even a fair argument. He tries to make it sound like he would get nothing. No,
Mm-hmm.
splitting would be perfectly reasonable. And in fact, like, I honestly think that she potentially should get all of it because it was her money that was used. It was her money on the line. Like, Opie's like, well, I had other ways. Why didn't you use your own money?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem I have here. It seems like OP is trying to make a lot of different excuses. If you had the money to cover it, then you shouldn't have used her money to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where this money exists exactly, if it's like in an envelope or something like that. So I find it a little odd that they gambled it online when they have some kind of physical money, I'm
Well, she might
assuming.
have just transferred it to his bank account.
Well, that makes sense too, right? So I don't know. I think that this is one of those situations where hopefully she learns not to trust OP with money, because OP is seems like one of these people who will gamble away a lot of money, right?
Right. Well, yeah. She's like, oh, yeah. I don't want to spend it impulsively. Can you hold on to this for me? And what does he do? He goes and spends her money.
And things if things hadn't worked out, right? And there's a good chance that things wouldn't have worked out.
Hmm.
Then I know OP says, "Oh, well, I could have paid it back," but what happens when OP goes out on a gambling binge and spends more money than they can conceivably pay back, right?
Well, and like he says ways. So I'm wondering if he even actually has this in cash or if it's like I'd have to sell other things to get this money type of situation. Like I'm guessing he doesn't have the money on hand, which is why he didn't spend it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took a huge, huge risk by spending her money.
Yeah, but let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Steven Diesel says, "You're the jerk. If you used your own money, it wouldn't have been a story. Your bit about what you could have done was just revising history to make yourself feel better. Cognitive dissonance. You know you should share it. You're just looking for a better excuse and validation." And Beth21286 says, OP only used it because it was the sister's money, so she felt entitled to do whatever she wanted with it. She wouldn't have risked her own. Such a slimy thing to do. Total jerk. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for calling out my father-in-law when he picked my mother-in-law as a winner of the competition over my kids? My mother and father-in-law had a cookie decorating competition for the grandkids. My two daughters, 10 and 12, and my nieces, 12 and 13. My mother-in-law also decorated a cookie. Her cookie was very impressive, but I presumed that father-in-law would put one of the grandchildren as the winner. The prize was a gift card, and my father-in-law picked my mother-in-law as the winner. I could see that the girls were upset. My father-in-law called my youngest daughter a bad sport. I called my father-in-law out and I told him that it was weird to pick a grown woman over the children, and the kids had really tried. He said that it was just for fun and I was being silly. My mother-in-law ended up feeling bad and said that the kids could share the gift card. My husband thinks that I made a scene for no reason and my mother-in-law deserved it. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. Like, first of all, like I think having a gift card for this was a little bit not cool to begin with. Like the keep the prizes lower stakes. But then secondly, why is an adult woman competing for a prize? Like I get wanting to participate in cookie decorating, like that's fun, but why is she part of the competition? Like
Yeah.
clearly kids aged like 11 to 13 have different skills than an adult most of the time.
Yeah.
You know, and so keep the competition between those in the same like skill bracket.
Well, on top of that, the contest was even being run by the mother and father-in-law. And, like on those radio shows when you have these contests, they always have like the disclaimer that the, family members and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
of the people who are running the contest aren't allowed to enter, right? Well, I mean, like the kids, of course, are family members, but I mean, like,
Right, but it's the spouse. There's some bias there. But like,
yeah,
even if you're biased toward your spouse, like I feel like if Brian were to want to enter into a cookie decorating competition with little kids,
yeah.
I would still pick the kids, even though Brian would probably have the best cookie just because like
Because I would squash those kids in that competition. Hey, kids, let me have your lunch money while I'm at it too.
like it just feels so weird to want to take a prize away from a child.
Yeah. Well, your grandkids on top of that, right?
Yeah.
Just have a different competition for the adults then, right? Have a cookie competition for the kids and then have one for the adults, and then everyone gets to participate, right? And that way you're also allowing the kids of similar skill to compete on like a fair and level ground.
Mm-hmm.
They don't feel left out, they feel like they got to do something, and then the adults can have fun too, right? So I think that they were in the wrong here for holding a competition where the mother-in-law was the one of the people holding the competition and then still won. Just buy yourself a gift card. You're an adult. I don't know. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for destroying 3 lawn chairs because mine was being used? We are at my parents' lake for the long weekend. Altogether, there are 29 people out here, either in houses, campers, trailers, or tents. I am a very big guy, and I am well aware of this fact. Therefore, I have purchased myself a heavy-duty folding lawn chair that can hold up to 500 pounds. I don't need that much, but I like knowing that I'm not going to wreck it every time I sit in it. It also has a built-in footrest and a drink holder. I come out for breakfast this morning and my chair is gone. I look over and I see that my brother has his kids sitting in it. 2 of them can sit side by side, so no problem. I told the kids that I need my chair and they start to get off of it. My brother came over and told me not to order his kids around. I said that I wasn't doing that, I was just asking for my property back. He said that there were plenty of other chairs and to use one of his chairs. I said that was a bad idea, and he said that I'm not that fat. And honestly, I'm not, I'm just big. So I sat in one of his plastic chairs. Even though I sat gently, I snapped one of the legs. I sat in another, and I snapped 2 legs, and I hit the ground. I got up and I sat in one of his folding chairs. It collapsed slowly, and we couldn't close it up afterwards. It was bent up. I started walking towards another one of his chairs, and he started screaming at me that I had made my point and that he almost tipped his kids out of my chair. He is mad at me because he is going to have to drive into town and get some more chairs. He tried saying that I should pay him for them, but my mom said that she heard him tell me to use his chairs. I feel bad, and I could have stopped after the first chair or waited to eat until after the kids were done, but he was such a jerk about it. Alright folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, Opie was just doing what brother told him to do. Like, where does the brother get off being like, oh, well, no, you can't tell my kids to get off of your chair. They can sit here.
Yeah, I think that was a really reasonable request, right? Hey kids, get off my chair, I need to use it, right? The kids are kids, they're gonna sit on things, and I mean, it's not like he, threw them or punted them across the room or something like that. And like, hey, you kids, you're gonna go take a dump in the lake.
Right, well, and the kids seemed perfectly understanding, like they were getting up, and then the dad's like, no, you can't boss my kids around.
Yeah. So I think that hopefully OP's brother learned a valuable lesson about not touching other people's stuff. I don't know.
Well, and I love Opie's mom being like, no, I heard you say that he could sit in your chairs. Like,
oh no, it's not a big deal. You're not that big and whatnot. You can sit in these chairs. Yeah. And so just for some context, OP's like 6'8", and he was like a football player or something like that. So a big guy, right? And so I think that the brother probably bit off more than he could chew in this situation. Malicious compliance at its finest. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Wicked Pirater says, not the jerk, dude, and kudos to you for making your point so beautifully. People saying otherwise would be justified if you hadn't stopped after your brother yelled at you to stop. If it had been me, I would have said, you don't get to order me around, and continue to sit on and break the rest of the chairs just to prove my point. But that's because I'm actually the jerk. I think that you took the high road here. Absolutely do not pay him for the chairs. And New Construction 6260 says, haha, I would have loved to see the brother's face once he got to the 3rd chair. That was hilarious to read. Not the jerk. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
It's not really a joke. So this is a section called Vacation Prediction.
Oh no.
There will be 56 straight days of sunshine, not a single drop of rain, until the morning you and your family leave for your vacation.
I mean, there's some truth to that, right? There's some truth to that. Weather always has a mind of its own, and it always likes to show up unexpectedly when you start a vacation. And I have licorice spice. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy special Sunday, folks. I hope your Sunday is off to a special start. And folks, you know what makes it special? You do. And Amber does too.
And Brian does too.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it involve malicious compliance.
Be careful what you wish for, or you just might get it.
I think that's a good moral. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
However, I will provide everything for my granddaughter until she gets a full-time job because her happiness is what matters the most here. Oh, until he gets a full-time job. I was like, when will that's 18 years.